What time is it? Barbecue time. What's up, YouTube? This is Robert Escamilla from Bigsixbbq up here in Somerville, Mass. Today on this rib episode, we're going to show you how we do ribs. So we got baby got backs, we got some spare ribs, and we got some St. Louis. We're going to show you how we remove the membranes and trim off the fat and square them up, and we're also going to show you how we cook them. So the baby backs we're just going to do hot and fast, and the spare ribs and the St. Louis we're going to do low and slow. So let's get to cooking. So I'm back in the kitchen. So I got this beautiful cut of spare ribs, and so I'm going to show you how we clean them and trim them, and I'm going to show you how we remove the membrane. So before I get started cleaning them, I'm going to show you how to turn them into St. Louis. So I'm going to draw a line so I can give you a quick tutorial. So you're going to count 11 bones from the big bone to the little bone. So you can count 11 bones. So you're going to get your knife and you're going to cut straight down, and you're going to remove that. So on this side you got the flap, and right here you got like a brisket bone, which they call the rib tips. So you're going to cut straight through there. So it has a natural line anyway. It will show you indication where to cut because it has this soft cartilage that's in there. So when you cook it just right, you're going to get that nice soft meat and fall off the cartilage. It's so delicious. But we're not going to do that with this. So right now what we're going to do is show you how we remove silver skin and some of the fat, clean it up, remove some of this small bones because we're, I want to square them off. So on this side, I'm going to remove this. So I'm going to get my knife. I'm going to turn the ribs this way where it could be easier for me to cut. And so I'm going to get my knife and I'm going to cut straight down. Just going at it one swoop at a time. So now that I got this removed, now we're going to talk about membranes. So a lot of people will say keep them or leave them. I like to leave them, okay? So what I like to do is I like to grab a napkin. I like to make sure I have plenty of napkins for this. So I like to grab a napkin, get it at the edge and pinch it because it's kind of wet. So that's why it makes it hard. If I want to do it with my fingers, I could do it because I've done like thousands of these. But if you're at home and you don't know how to do them, just grab your napkin and pinch it. Give a hard pinch and pull back, and it will just come back in one swoop. Just kind of grab most of it. Now that you grab a handle, hold one side and pull back in one swoop. That's it. Easy. Okay? And then you could come back and clean up the fat. So the reason why I removed the membrane is because I want the smoke to penetrate through there. Okay? So, and plus, it's just going to be tough. You know what I'm saying? So, but we're not going to turn these into St. Louis, so we're just going to cook them whole. I'm just going to clean up some of the fat and remove some of this excess fat I don't need. So I remove that. Turn it over. If I could remove some of this fat. You don't want to remove all of it, you just want to remove a little bit of it, because this is what's going to burn. This is what's going to turn black. It's going to caramelize and it's going to be black. And you want a nice red mahogany on these ribs. This is such a delicious cut of meat. It's like one of my favorites because it has this cartilage that runs through right here. So when you cut the rib and you get that nice cartilage meat, you're eating around that little cartilage, and it's like the most tenderest meat that you ever eat. So I'm going to remove this little bone here because I don't want nobody choking on it. So I can remove that. And the ribs are pretty much cleaned up nicely, squared. And I'm going to remove a little bit of this silver skin because Because what happens is when it's done, the product is done, and you cut that off, you're just gonna have this in your mouth, and it's gonna be like chewy. So you want to remove most of it if you can. So you get get your knife, pinch it, just a little at a time without getting your fingers. You just keep going, and then this right here is just a big chunk of I don't know, but it has to be removed. All right, so I got it pretty much where I want it. What I'm gonna do is apply a binder, like a mustard or sofrito or oil or my chote oil, and then I like to apply my rub seasonings. So we're back. We got the ribs that we had seasoned, we cleaned up yesterday. We got the St. Louis, we got the spare ribs, and we got baby got backs. Okay, so the baby got backs gonna use some chote oil and some adobo seasoning. And these spare ribs, we're gonna do mustard and my tacuache breath seasoning. And I'm gonna put oil, and then I'm gonna use my tacuache breath on the St. Louis. So I'm gonna show you how we season them up. So I said we're gonna use oil for the St. Louis. So you're gonna get yourself a little squirt bottle and just squirt a little oil on there and rub it. You don't need a lot of oil, you just need very little. You know what I'm saying? Very little goes a long way. Just rub both sides. You know what I'm saying? Just give a little rub and get on the sides. You just want to use it as a binder. So this is just pure olive oil. If you're wondering what kind of oil I'm using. So I just give a nice little gentle rub, right? So what I'm gonna do over here before I start seasoning them, I'm gonna rub some mustard on these spare ribs. So all you need is a little, just gonna, what the mustard usually does is give it a nice thicker bark than oil. Oil gives a nice light bark. Plus I'm using a spicy mustard, which has a little extra seasonings in there, which is good for barbecue. You gotta also just use what you got. I like regular and like any mustard I can find. The one with the honey, you gotta be careful because it has sugar in it, so you just be mindful with that. It might burn. So just keep in mind, sugar caramelizes and burns. Chote oil goes a long way. It's the homemade stuff I make. Has a lot of herbs and spices in there that when I make it. It's good stuff. But you got to be careful with this because this stuff could burn as well. So what we're gonna do here is once we season it, we're gonna give it time to tack up. So that means let the meat sweat a little bit. So we're gonna grill these. We're gonna smoke them for like maybe these baby backs. We'll probably smoke them for maybe 2.5 hours, and then we're gonna cook them over coals. Cause I ain't gonna wrap these, cause it's like a white lean meat and it'll dry out real quick. So I'm gonna treat it like we do a pork chop almost, Baby backs I've never covered. I never do low and slow. I always cook over wood or coals. The low and slow is St. Louis. The St. Louis and the spare ribs. This is what I do the low and slow with. It's a darker cut of meat, so it can take a lot of smoke. And with this one, I'm gonna sprinkle a little salt, just a little, cause it's a big cut of meat. I could use some salt. You know what I mean? Just a little, not much. Just a nice little coating. And the rest, there's enough salt in my rub that will season these real quick. I don't need much salt. But for this big cut, I always need extra salt. For the little cuts, just seasoning. That's all. Just sprinkle all over. Get a nice coating. A little goes a long way. Well, the reason why I didn't season them last night is because if I were to season them the night of, they cook quicker. I usually do that when I'm doing catering jobs so I can get them done quick. But I know most of your viewers just go to the local grocery store and you season them up and cook them. So in this case, I'm just gonna do what you guys do and season them up like the day of smoking, you know what I mean? But you also want to, make sure they come up to room temperature as well, so they will cook a little quicker. And you always want to get ribs that are never been frozen. And if you happen to have frozen ribs, let them sit out in the fridge for 2 days uncovered. You know what I mean? Let them bleed or drain their liquids. Good. You want to get the sides. Oh, I'm a big Emerald fan. Emerald always says, what? Most people season their meat, they don't even hit the sides. He ain't lying. He goes, he wants to taste season all the way around the ribs. I would love to do a show with Emerald one day. If you're out there listening to me, Emerald, send me a message. I'm here in Massachusetts. We'll do it in Fall River, your old town. This rub has salt, pepper, chili powders, paprika, a little bit of sugar, not much sugar, just a little bit. Pork and sugar always goes good. And I'm gonna put my adobo. This has like cilantro, like a lot of spices that I dry, scallions, jalapenos, a lot of good stuff in here. See, I'm Tex-Mex, so we grew up eating all those spices. That's what I incorporate in my barbecue. And I also love the Central Texas style barbecue. Brother Eddie is actually the one that taught me a lot of the basic cookings. My sister Amanda, Tex-Mex Eat, you should check her out. She has a lot of good stuff on her website. She's on YouTube, she's on Facebook. So it's called Tex-Mex Eats. Shout out to my sis. Alright, I think I got it. Now I'm gonna let them sit for a little while, let them sweat. Before we put them on, I'm gonna show you what I mean by sweating. So they're starting to sweat a little bit. So that means when they sweat a little bit, like little pellets, look like little balls of sweat everywhere, that's ready to go in the smoker. Plus we left them in the fridge overnight, uncovered, because that's what you want to do with a lot of your meat. When after you clean it, trim it, leaving it. I noticed if you leave it in the fridge and let it air dry for a couple of days or a day, you achieve a better bark. Okay, we're in the backyard now, so I'm gonna set up my 22-inch Smoky Mountain Weber. We are gonna light with these tumbleweeds. I'm gonna put 3. One there, one here, and one here. Stick them in, give a little light, a little start, and a little start. I don't burn myself. Here we go. Today's wood, apple. So what we got here is a 22-inch Weber kettle with 2 charcoal dividers. So we're using Kingsford charcoal today, and we're gonna light them up with these tumbleweeds. So we're gonna set this one up to cook baby backs. So we're gonna smoke some baby backs for maybe like 3 hours, and then we're gonna dump the charcoal in here and we're gonna grill them, kiss them over the fire. So we've been at like, I just opened it up, so it was like 325. But anyway, I'm gonna start putting the spare ribs in there. So I don't know if you can see, it's all sweated, so it's all tacked up. See all the spices and stuff ready to go. So the reason why I put it in a on a rib rack, because I don't want it laying down. It won't get as much smoke as I would like. So if I stand it up, I'll get a lot more smoke and it'll get cook even. But let me get this. You want to kind of stand them up. They're gonna shrink and they'll stand up on their own eventually. So I'm gonna put the grill back on. So now that I got the St. Louis on, I mean the spare ribs on, I'm gonna put the St. Louis. So I'm gonna lay them flat. These gonna cook quicker. Spare ribs gonna take like 4 hours. These are gonna be like 3.5 for smoke. And then we'll wrap them in butcher paper. So those are ready. So they got on 11:38. And we'll keep track of them every hour. So we got this 22-inch Weber kettle set up. So we're gonna use a rib rack, and we got the 2 charcoal dividers. I got pieces of wood of apple on the side, and I'm gonna start placing the ribs in. I like to do bone side up for a minute. And these right here I gotta check on every so often so they won't burn. Try to space them where they could have enough airflow. Alright, I'm gonna close it so it won't cause a fire. So we're gonna check them. First thing I notice is they're ready to be flipped. See how they're starting to crust up? So we're gonna flip them now. The other ones down there are looking well. Those could take a lot more smoke than these bad boys. So that's why I'm not gonna mess with them. But these are here, you wanna flip them so that you can get a nice even smoke all over them. So we're gonna cover them up and we're gonna look for another hour. Wait another hour, I mean, and we'll look at the ones in the bottom. So it's been at 275 for about an hour. Getting a lot of smoke. I'm using oak and apple. So it's been about an hour. I'm about to turn my baby backs. Baby got backs, and I can't deny. So they're looking pretty good. So I gotta rotate them now, okay? So they can cook evenly. So I'm gonna flip them. Flip them, flip them, flip them. Flip them, turn them, flip them. So we gotta rotate them. Make sure I get plenty of space. So they're looking nice. So on one side they look already all nice and crusty. On the other side they're gonna crust up again. So we gotta get this side nice and crusty. So we're gonna start getting ready to kiss the ribs on the grill. So we're gonna flip these over. So let that flare up a little bit. I'm gonna add some more charcoal. All right, we're back. I'm gonna start. So I cooked the baby backs for like 2.5 hours. Now they're already falling, about to fall apart. Now I'm gonna kiss them on the grill, and I'm gonna brush some drip on them. I like to place my over the coals, and I like to crisp up the bark a little bit by turning them and turning them. Alright, so we give them a few minutes like that. We're not gonna cover them, we're just gonna leave them. So we gotta keep an eye on them. So now that I hear them sizzling, just start turning them, see how they're sizzling? That's what you want. You want to get that sizzle. So I got half of it sizzled, then I'll flip it. See how we getting that nice color now? Now if you have to pull them to the side because it's probably too hot, you know what I mean? Just keep turning them, working them. You gotta work your ribs, man, or else you burn them. See? Now that we got them to where we want them, we just get them to the side, and then one at a time, because if you go too many, you're gonna burn them. I got some drip here that I'm gonna drip on. Right? Drip it out everywhere. So with this brush, just gonna brush on the drip. Drip and brush, baby. Drip and brush. Drip and brush. I'm gonna flip. Drip and brush. You gotta work quick. This is where you want to work quick. Okay? You can't slack on this. So I got it mostly all dripped up. Now I'm gonna put it on the grill, let it caramelize. See how it's starting to caramelize? This is where you gotta work quick. This is where most cooks burn their food. You gotta crisp, flip, flip. And once you see it get into the bark, then it's done. That's it. And then when it's done, you could add a little more drip to it. All right, they're done. Thank you for watching. For more Bigsixbbq videos, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button.